forward to this.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to this very special stream. Not only because I have the old branding on, hang on a second, there's the more up-to-date one. This is a very special stream for a number of reasons, so thank you for joining us. Kind of last minute, so those who do make it live, thank you very much. Those watching on the replay, aka in the future, thank you to you as well. We don't do many of these live interviews, but we are doing one today, this afternoon, here in Mexico City, tonight for my guest, where he is on this football we call Planet Earth, the round type of football, of course. My guest tonight is, or today, the probably brutally slaughtered youngling at the hands of Anakin Skywalker, Sors Bandeam, which is an anagram for Ross Beadman, the boy, now man, who played him, who is very much alive, or at least he was last time I checked, so I should probably check in again. Ross, are you still alive?
I'm very much alive and in the flesh and probably murdered. I like that. I like
probably.
That.
We do not know, and we'll probably talk about that. When I say probably, we will definitely talk about that shortly. But cheers, mate. Thank you for joining me on what is getting quite late now over in the UK where you are.
Yeah, 10:30. I've just come back from training. Actually, we can get into that. And
training for a very special event. People are automatically going to assume you're back at the Jedi Temple doing your thing. But no, they would assume incorrectly. So we're going to get into what the training is all about. We're going to get into maybe your Sors Bandeam headcanon as well. But also just a few hellos to those who are here live at the moment. Gaz Nottingham, Oppo Rancisis, Jane Flakes, Anders Lay. I say Gaz Nottingham, Power Droid Girl, Leona, Star Wars Meg is here as well. And yeah, let's just have a little recap, Ross, because
sure.
This is predominantly a Star Wars YouTube channel. You have predominantly featured on the channel before for your Star Wars connection as Sors Bandeam, probably the most iconic youngling that isn't Anakin Skywalker, because of course we did see him as a youngster. Tell us how you initially got that role to be in Revenge of the Sith.
Sure, yeah. So it was a mixture of connections and luck, a lot of luck on the day. So my mum used to work with someone who then went on to start her own children's casting agency. And at this point, they hadn't spoken for a while. It was about a couple of years since they last spoke. And then suddenly my mum gets an email one day asking if her son, me, would like to be in Star Wars. And I remember the day when my mom asked me, I was in the lounge, and she just goes, "Ross, would you like to be in Star Wars?" And I was a huge Star Wars fan at the time.
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to say to that?
It's almost a stupid question, but that would be a bit rude to your mum to say, "Mum, what a stupid question."
Or her to just say, "You're going to be in Star Wars." Yeah.
Yeah, it should more just be a demand, you know? It doesn't need to be a question, does it? It doesn't need to be posed that way.
Tomorrow you're a Jedi. Yeah. Either way, I'd be happy with, to be fair.
So what was your reaction?
I didn't quite believe it. I didn't really believe it until she was taking like my headshot to send to the casting people to just see I was a good fit for the role. And yeah, I didn't really believe it until I went on the actual set and saw everyone in their alien costumes. I remember seeing the person who played Shakti smoking a cigarette.
As you do.
Which was an interesting juxtaposition. Well, I actually got the role through putting my hand up first. So when the casting director asked me and all the kids who knows the line, I was practicing it pretty much every day for a week beforehand. So it's so fresh in my mind. I wasn't making many friends on the day, and they were all talking amongst themselves and weren't really listening to what he asked us. And so I said, "I know the line. It's Master Skywalker. There's too many of them. What are we going to do?" And that's how I got it.
And the rest is meme-based history, you could say. So you were all the kids were presumably given the line in advance of coming in that day to shoot. You were, as we've talked before, you were basically the antisocial one, not chatting and messing around with the other kids. So you got your hand up there first. So if you didn't shoot your hand up first and say the line correctly, I assume you would have been just another of the younglings in the background.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It would have been someone else. Whoever would have paid attention first. It might have taken some time. I think there was a lot of excitement there. Yeah.
But you did not let the excitement get to you. You stayed focused and you got that hand up in time. We've got a comment here from Star Wars Meg saying Shakti with a SIG makes perfect sense to me. I have got some questions for Ross from Patreon and Discord members already, which I'll be asking later. Also, if you have questions in the chat, stick them in there. I've seen one from Gaz. I've put a star by that, and we'll try and get to them as the stream goes on. Also, hello to Peter as well, and Captain Skunky also. I suppose, though, your mum had to manage your expectations to a certain extent, though, did she not? Because when she first asked you that stupid question, I'm assuming, as you said, the headshot had to still be submitted. So it wasn't a guarantee that you'd be in the room, let alone the one to say the line at this point. How did she manage your expectations? Or excitement levels, I should say.
She just says it's likely you'd be in Star Wars. I don't remember exactly what she said to manage my expectations. I know for a fact she did say there is a chance you might not be in it. So prepare yourself for that. And it was only until I came to see the premiere where I saw my scene. Front and center. It was crazy. I fully expected for the scene to be cut, to be honest.
That's part and parcel, it's part and parcel. And not only was it not cut, even though we've talked about this before, even though in terms of duration, it's such a small scene, but it's equally to this day, all these years later after that film came out, such an important, iconic scene, from a serious point of view in terms of the storyline, but also in terms of the fan base, you're a meme, essentially.
Yeah, it's been solidified like that forever, and I'm sure it will continue to do so. It's it's a very applicable format to many different situations. Yeah, surprisingly so. Child murder is applicable.
Yeah, well, were you murdered? Again, we're definitely going to come on to that. So we'll come back to Star Wars in a moment. The questions I have already are definitely all Star Wars focused from followers who have already submitted them. In the live chat, if you have any questions for Ross, stick them in and I'll keep an eye out and we'll try and get to those shortly. But Ross is here for another very special reason. Because you're a man who has been a Jedi Youngling, a man in his own right in many ways. But you are now adding a new title to your name, a new job title, boxer. Sors Bandeam, the boxer. And just in case people are having any doubts, are struggling to visualize what we're saying here, I, with my very rudimentary Photoshop skills, created this. That's what's happening, people. That's what's happening. Explain, Ross, because some people are probably scratching their heads right now.
So in less than 3 weeks' time, I have a boxing match on the 25th of March. It's for charity. It's for Cancer Research UK, but it's a fully sanctioned fight where I'll be going up against someone who's going to try and win against me.
And it's not Hayden Christensen, just to be clear.
It's not Hayden Christensen. Not this time. And so, I've been training for the last 8 weeks pretty consistently. You get 8 weeks of free training as part of the ultra white collar boxing promotion, and you fundraise for it, and all that money goes to Cancer Research UK. People can buy tickets to see you in person, usually your friends and family, and you fight in front of a huge crowd.
And where is it? Where is the fight?
It's at the BIC, the Bournemouth International Centre. And yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Yeah. So I have been training for quite some time, about 1.5 years to 2 years.
A year and a half. Wow.
I'm not anywhere great at all. I'm okay. I'm decent for the amount of time I put into it.
How much do you know about your opponent?
Nothing. I find out in a week what they're going to be like. I've sparred with people in my weight class who are slightly less experienced, so I'm a bit of a level above that. There's a chance that on the day I'll be paired up with someone who's heavier by about from 2 to 5 kilos, but with less experience, just to make it fair. The whole ultra white collar boxing promotion, they try and match people up fairly based on weight and skill level. Nobody wants to walk into a fight knowing they're going to lose. Let's be honest. So everyone gets a fair shot, and I'm confident personally that I'm going to win.
You have to have that confidence. But how much of you've been training for a year and a half, which is a long time in my book, anyway. Certainly when it comes to exercise. I mean, how much of a boxer were you before? I'm not expecting that you boxed your way out of Order 66.
It's interesting. I would never label myself a boxer. It's just something I practice. I'd say I'm more of a practitioner. And the reason why I make that distinction is because there's people who've done it their entire lives, who never get any kind of recognition, and their skill level is way above mine. I couldn't in good faith call myself that until I have a good like amateur record or lengthy white collar record against good opposition, because there are people who are younger than me, even like 16, 17 years old, who would kick my ass. They would destroy me. And yeah. But it's an interesting distinction.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised when you got in touch about it. I have to say, with the email subject "Sors Bandeam boxing fight" or something like that, I was like, huh? Chad Campbell has said there are too many of them. Will soon be a reference to your fists.
It's interesting.
Hopefully so.
And I like the name as well, because my style of fighting is more of that combination punching style. I rely on throwing a lot of volume and a lot of flurries to my opponent, and I'll try and put the pressure on. That's my fighting style.
And we are going to talk more Star Wars for those who've joined, wondering why we're talking about boxing. But this Ross Beadman, who played Sors Bandeam, Jedi Youngling, is going to be competing in a boxing match for a very special cause. I've got the link in the video description to the Just Giving page. If anybody at all is in a position to donate to Ross's cause, which we'll ask him to talk about in a moment. Also, if you're thinking of leaving a super chat for this stream, please don't do that. Instead, if you can, head over to the link in the video description to Ross's Just Giving page and see if we can help push him closer to that 100% target of 1,000 of the Queen's English pounds, which in US dollars, I don't know in terms of post-Brexit Britain, but I think these days it's around $1,200 US that Ross is looking to make there.
Be closing nearer and nearer the more I think our currency is getting pretty weak.
And obviously, who knows what's going on these days? Let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the positives in terms of what you're doing with the charity. Tell us about obviously Cancer Research UK, it's the main cancer charity body in the UK. This is a global cause, of course, cancer. And this almost feels like a silly question, but why is this cause so important to you?
Well, I've personally been affected by cancer, as I'm sure the majority of people watching this have. Everyone knows someone who's had it or has unfortunately died from it. When I was young, when I was 4 years old, I lost my granddad to bowel cancer. And when I was about 12 years old, I lost my grandma to bowel cancer again. And yeah, it's tough. It's such a common thing. This isn't about awareness. People are already aware of cancer. It's so common. It's way too common. But there's a chance that we can improve the detection rates so that even if we don't cure it, people find it much earlier and that they're able to treat it well and early and live a normal life afterwards. It's tough. So many people, when I posted on some of the SIF posting groups and meme pages, they either had a family member who died of it or were dealing with it themselves. And hopefully this goes just even a small way towards helping with the situation.
Yeah, no, you're right. Everybody has a connection to this terrible disease, and it's great that you're doing this. And like you said, even if it's just a small way of helping, you're dedicating a huge portion of your life. Already been training for a year and a half for this, and so there's a number of ways people can donate directly on the Just Giving page by buying tickets to go to the actual event in Bournemouth, where Power Droid Girl Leona is, in fact. And also on your official Sors Bandeam autograph site, where you do custom autographs, a portion of the proceeds from that will go to the cause as well. And I've linked to the autograph site also in the video description, which is sorsautos.com, right?
You got it. You got it.
Cool, man. No, and I hope you win. I hope you win. And I now like to think you boxed your way out of Order 66. We'll come back onto this shortly, but let's take some of the Star Wars questions I've had.
Jedi fighting style, when you can't have a lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly. Those fists of yours. Gaz Nottingham says, "Good luck, Ross. It's a great thing you are doing. May the force and be with you." So, guys, I'm going to keep an eye on the chat for any questions. I can see two already. One from Gaz, one from Star Wars Meg. I will come to those shortly, but there's a few questions I've got already from Patreon members, one of which is Jane Flakes, who is in the chat at the moment. She asks, how much of an impact does a role like this at such an early age have on you and your career, into your adult life?
Ooh, it's affecting my life in general massively. It's nice to get a bit of recognition from people. It's like an extra bit of spice to your life. It's like an extra 20% push, in my opinion. But when it comes to my actual career, I think it definitely has helped. It's an interesting thing to talk about. I think people like it in interviews. I think because my job now is quite public facing, it helps with that. It helps to get a bit of recognition from that as well. It's another string to your bow. I would never say it's affected me overall negatively. It's been a net positive. There are always negatives when it comes to stuff like this, the little amount of fame that I have. But yeah, it's been great in many different facets of my life, including my career.
Yeah, it could have. We've seen examples of where it's gone wrong for people. The negativity has sort of impacted them in terrible ways. You look at Jake Lloyd in the same Star Wars trilogy as you, had all sorts of trouble. Obviously, a different role to you, but you also didn't. And this probably has helped you keep sane, keep the positivity. You didn't really pursue acting, did you? After that?
Yeah, no, it's not something I really had a massive passion for. My parents didn't push me either. Looking back, I probably could have gone a bit further if they did, but that's just for the benefit of hindsight. Yeah, I mean it's that sacrifice. I didn't really have it in me to that spark to keep going, which I think you'd need to get far in it. And if my parents did it, there might have been some resentment there as well. There's some parents who take their kids to really push them to do it. A percentage of them can be very successful and they reap the rewards of that. But sometimes that's not the case. And sometimes, people can get pushed to the limit. But yeah, I'm happy my life went the way it did. In hindsight, would I have liked to be a famous actor? Let's be honest. Yeah. But this is the next best thing. Come on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you get your Star Wars fame. You've got your video production career, and you've got your boxing career now. Who knows how far that might go as well.
But you got people like KSI and Jake Paul. I mean,
yeah,
love them or hate them, they've kind of carved their own path.
Yeah, so who knows how far you can go with that. A question from Chad, and this is interesting considering we've just touched upon the different things you're doing with your life and career now. Chad has asked, at the moment, you will probably always be remembered for Star Wars, certainly in the circle we're in right now. If there was one other thing you'd want people to remember you for, what would it be?
In the long distant future, I'd like to direct a film or two.
Yeah.
I'd like to direct a horror film, but I'm not sure what it would be exactly about. So I'd like to be known for my professionalism behind the camera, and, if maybe in front of the camera as well. Who knows?
Yeah, you could be back. Yeah, and obviously winning this boxing fight as well. You want to be remembered for that.
Sorry. What do you say?
Winning the boxing fight match as well. Yeah. You want to be remembered for that, of course.
That'll be a step in the right direction, without a doubt. Yeah.
And there's another one from Chad here who does get a bit question happy when it comes to this thing. He sent quite a few in. Going back to Revenge of the Sith, he asks, he says, you were young and it was a short shoot, but you obviously got to see Hayden Christensen and George Lucas. Do you remember any other interactions or standout cast and crew that you were able to talk with?
I talked briefly with George Lucas when he was directing the whole thing. Very briefly, he was just giving me directions not to look at Anakin's lightsaber when he don't sheath it, because I just follow my eyes down when he used to do it. When instead I should maintain eye contact. That was the direction I got from him. Other people I saw apart from them, there was one person with dwarfism who I saw. I'm not sure who that was. Whether they were in the R2D2 suit or something else, I can't quite be sure.
Yeah, you're not narrowing it down, really.
And Shakti, Orly Shosham, which is interesting. I met her at Megène Collector, a big kind of sci-fi Comic-Con in France. And I told her the story about her smoking a cigarette. And she said that it never happened. She said it never happened. I'm like, hey, I saw someone in that same alien species costume smoking one. So it might have been someone else. But I believe her.
Yeah, maybe. You do believe it, do you? There's no controversy here involved.
I don't think there'll be a reason why she would lie.
Yeah, maybe it was a double. Maybe it was a stunt double,
yeah.
Or something. And also, I know you had an interaction with Ewan McGregor involving champagne as well. I remember you saying.
Very generous. He talked to me and my mum for about 10 minutes. Answered any questions I wanted to have for him. Gave me some champagne. What can I say?
What can you say? How old were you at the time again?
6 years old.
That's illegal, Ewan McGregor. That's illegal. Star Wars Meg, who's very invested in this Shakti storyline, Shakti multiverse confirmed in response to the revelation that she may not, in fact, have been smoking. Cool. And actually, you mentioned a Comic-Con there. A question from Brad Snoke. Are you on the convention circuit? And when will you be in Texas, which is where Brad is based?
Oh, I'd love to go to Texas, man, for a convention. I can't say when. I'm going to California about October, November time for Capitola Comic-Con. I was meant to get there for March, but it's been postponed. So you should see me in the States by then. And hopefully with that one appearance, it'll get the ball rolling where I'd be appearing at more conventions in the US. But I'd love to do the US convention circuit. It sounds like a lot of fun. I love going to conventions. It's amazing.
So it's something you'd like to do more of then. I mean, it's been a funny time for conventions with the pandemic and what have you anyway, hasn't it?
The pandemic has shut a lot of conventions down. There's not quite the numbers that there used to be, apparently, according to a few people I've spoken to. But I'm sure it will bounce back. Star Wars celebrations happening, was it what, April?
I believe it's April, yeah, pretty soon.
No, I'm not going to that, but I am doing another signing, a private signing, in conjunction to that.
Cool. And remember, if you can't get to see Ross in the States when he's in California, you can get hold of his autograph. I've linked to it in the video description, and proceeds will go to just giving, well, to Cancer Research UK for Ross's charity boxing match that we talked about before. And we will come back on to a couple more questions from Patreon members, and I'll pop over to the live chat as well. Another one from Brad Snoke here. This isn't Brad talking. This is me for now, Ross. When we spoke last time, we did talk about the time you were reunited with Hayden Christensen years after he maybe murdered you on screen. Brad would like to know if you can tell us more about your famous, more recent run-in with the Dark Lord himself. For example, did he recognize you instantly?
I think he was briefed as to who I was. So when I came walking through, he did recognize me because he was expecting it. It was a very short window where I could have actually met him. I know a local fan group called Phantom Tracks. They're a big fan website as well for Star Wars. They organized the meeting between him and his agent. And I had to trek from one end of the convention hall to the other end. I had a 5-minute window to get that done. And it was a rush. Parting the crowd who were crowded up to get his autograph signed, just meeting him directly. I remember his security guard was having his eye on me as well, just in case, but that's very understandable.
In case you were seeking revenge.
In case I was actually genuinely a psycho who wanted to seek revenge.
Yeah.
It was real. Yeah.
And just remind us of his reaction when he saw you.
He said, "You survived," and he wrote me an autograph. It's very nice. No. Saying
Must
that
have been
exact thing. Yeah, he
must
asked me
be
how it was. Yeah.
must have been pretty surreal for both of you, to be honest. How long did you get to spend with him?
Oh, about less than a minute. Less than a minute. I mean, there's people there who want an autograph signed. I can't stop the flow of that. To be fair, but it was really nice.
Well, even being less than a minute potentially means you might have spent longer with him than you did in the actual scene in the movie. So it could be seen as more time than before.
Yeah, probably 3 times the amount.
In terms of the final cut, anyway, of course, because I think we talked about this before. You didn't do too many takes, did you, on the shooting day? Was it 3 or 4? You told me before.
4 takes. Yeah, mainly just because I looked at the lightsaber when he was taking it out rather than at him. And as soon as I stopped doing that, nailed it.
Nailed it. Guys, if you are just joining us, Ross is taking part in a charity boxing match here in the UK for Cancer Research UK. It is the UK charity body, but of course, this is a global problem. If anyone's able to part with a few tokens for a good cause to support Ross in his journey, no matter what the result might be in the boxing match, the real result is getting that donation figure up to 100%. So if you're in any way able to help him out, please do. The link is in the video description. We talked about it earlier in the stream, so if you rewind, you'll find out more about why Ross is doing this and how the training is going, and we will come back to talk about it before we end this stream. But I'll come to the live chat in a moment, but a couple more questions from my lovely Patreon members, most of which are from Chad, because as I've mentioned, he gets very greedy in this department. One more from Brad. This is the final one from Brad, and this kind of links into Jane's question, which I'll come on to as well. But Brad asks, what is your headcanon for Sors Bandeam? Did he succumb like the other slaughtered younglings? Was he rescued along with Grogu?
My headcanon is that I escaped and I kind of forged my own path. I think I'll be doing a disservice to myself if I died in my own headcanon. Nobody wants themselves to die, in my opinion. But in my headcanon, I escaped the Jedi Temple, not with Grogu, but I was in the undercurrent of Coruscant. What's it called? The basement area.
Underworld.
The underworld, yeah. I used to survive there and hide until I managed to find a spaceship to get off world. And the revenge, I wanted to get revenge, and the anger just boiled inside me until all I could think about is killing Anakin. And then that became an indirect pathway to the dark side.
Oh, so you went that way, did you?
And then I believe that I rejoined the Empire at some point.
Okay.
As an Inquisitor.
Do you think you got your revenge on Anakin?
No.
Nobody does.
I believe I came close, and then I'll probably get actually killed.
It's really weird what you're saying, because, like, I know you said this a few years ago to me when we did our initial interview, which people can still watch on the channel, of course. Evidence that you said this years ago. Since you first said that to me, and maybe you said it before to somebody else as well, but since then, there has been an official Star Wars series released that had a very similar storyline. Did you watch the Obi-Wan Kenobi series?
I didn't.
Have you heard about the Jedi Youngling who escaped, became an Inquisitor to get close to Vader, to get their revenge on Anakin, Vader, for killing her friends? That was one of the main threads?
I did hear about that. And I think I would have followed a very similar path to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't ring up Lucasfilm and say, "Hey, I said this exact storyline on the YouTube video about 2 years before. Did you? Am I due any commission at all?"
Do you mind booting the actor off and replacing it with me? Yeah. Hey, worth a try. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I know there are fans out there who always want Star Wars to be remade, the new Star Wars. So I'm sure if they had their way, they would love you to do it. Actually, that links into a question of Chad's. You didn't watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, but do you keep up with Star Wars these days at all?
Yeah, so I've watched The Mandalorian, not the recent episode which just came out, but I've kept up with that. I love The Mandalorian. It's extremely well made. I watched the Book of Boba Fett. Was unfortunately disappointed by it. He wasn't. He lost a lot of his edge, in my opinion. The guy who played Boba Fett, not the guy who played Boba Fett, but the actual character.
The character.
He seemed to swing too far the other way to being a pacifist, when I think he could have still been a hard ass and come to that point at the end. I think it's still a bit too much of a wet blanket in that, unfortunately, the way they crafted it. Yeah, I've watched all the sequels created by Disney, with the exception of the last one. I take what I like from it. I like to read reviews. I like to know that my time's spent well on watching something I won't be disappointed by. Yeah.
What you did see in terms of the sequel trilogy, did you enjoy it, or were you left disappointed? Because the reason I ask is because, you know, you're entitled to your opinion, of course, but it's your trilogy, the prequel trilogy at the time, whilst it was loved by kids, got a lot of flack from critics and some of the older fan base, and now this new Disney trilogy is kind of seeing a similar thing.
Yeah, and will it come to the point where that will be beloved as much as the prequels were? I don't know. It's the effect of time, right? What has them. People looking back, perhaps with a little bit of a rosy tint, but I think people can enjoy films for what they are when they remove that critical side of their brain. I think Disney sequels is a big mixed bag, in my opinion. Yeah, but it's fair enough if people didn't like the prequels. There was a lot of drawn out political scenes, which might lead people to think it's boring or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think mixed bag is fair. That's how I'd go. There's some amazing moments, and I'm much happier that we have it than not. Equally, I think there were some missed opportunities with that trilogy. A lot of shouts for Andor. You should check out Andor. Andor is peak Star Wars. Star Wars Meg says, and Chad's the same as well, recommending Andor to you. Peter over in Holland says you have good points on the Boba Fett thingy. Yeah, you know, there's always a mixed reaction to Disney Star Wars, it seems, these days. So here is a final question from Jane Flakes, and going back to kind of headcanon mode in a way. Jane mentions the fact that you are, as far as we know, the first Jedi murdered by Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. Is there a support group in the Force for post-Order 66 fallen Jedi?
Is there a support group in the Force?
Yeah, for post-Order 66 fallen Jedi.
Yeah, I think the Force itself provides that support. When you die, in my opinion, if a Jedi dies, their soul gets released into the universal oneness of the Force, and it's almost as if all feelings of revenge or anger or self-pity would be released into that.
Yeah,
it's quite it's a slight Buddhist angle.
Yeah, I think George Lucas would be proud of that, I think.
And in my opinion, I think Sith lords are people in the dark side who don't manage to fix that part of themselves or go to the other side. I don't think their souls see much of a rebirth or kind of a conscious continuation.
And this is the final question.
Deep. We are getting
very deep, so I'm going to move us on. We cannot get this deep, Ross. It's a Sunday night for you. This is the final question from Chad Campbell.
Well.
Sorry, man.
I was a couple of hours ago. I was sparring as well.
Yeah, you were training, weren't you? And again, if you are just joining us, Ross is taking part in a charity boxing match for Cancer Research UK. We talked about it before, so rewind the stream to get the deets on that, but there is a link in the video description to head over to Ross's Just Giving page and help him get a little bit closer to that 100% target, if you can, of £1,000, but other currencies are accepted too. This is the final question from Patreon members. If you have any in the live chat, stick them in. I'll be coming over in a moment. And we did talk about this, and I can't remember if it made the final cut of our interview, because that was, an edited interview for the channel. But I know we talked about this. So this this also feels fresh at the same time because I don't think it made the cut. But Chad asks,
Yeah.
have you ever considered meeting up with the other probably Slaughtered Younglings? If so, would you please form a rock band called Slaughtered Younglings? That's pretty metal, that. But we talked about this. You did meet up with some of them at a convention, didn't you? Or you wanted to try and organize a meetup of some sort?
I wanted to have the opportunity to meet them, but I have heard nothing. Radio silence. I know one of them found some other acting work after Sors, the Asian girl in the back. She managed to find some, but since then I haven't heard anything. I'd love to hear how people are getting on. Yeah, so if on the off chance you're on set with me in that day, please reach out. It'd be great to chat.
And form a band called Slaughtered Younglings.
And of course, form a band. Yeah.
But it seems mad that this hasn't been done before. We talked about the the being reunited with Hayden at a convention, which has happened now. That box has been ticked. We need to get Fanfa Tracks on the case for this one because now at this, I mean, okay, the pandemic has changed things, but at least pre-pandemic, there's so many conventions now across the world, and I'd say this in a respectful way. You see, some pretty random people attending the conventions as guests, like their hands being seen, on like the thruster for a ship or something, and they're on the convention circuit all of a sudden. So this seems pretty big. This seems pretty big to get you guys all together, yet it's not happened yet.
Yeah, I think this is uncovered gold, ready to happen. I think the people will love it. And yeah, I love going to conventions. I met Ross Sandbridge, who played Snoke. He was the voice actor and the person his body was modeled off of. It's interesting because I was sat right next to him. That was at Gobsmack Comics, where their shop was opening. And we had the opportunity to be there for the event and sell our autographs, but he was right next to me. And it's interesting because there was a fan theory that I became Snoke. Yeah. And he's a really nice guy.
What do you make of that fan theory that you became Snoke?
When I first saw it, I was offended.
Right? Why were you offended?
That's because as part of the fan theory, they made it so that they did a comparison of my young face towards Snoke and say this is what he would look like after lightsaber burns. I don't think it was particularly flattering, so I was a little bit taken aback. But I love theories. What people put forward. I think it's very interesting, and it keeps it alive still.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's not the best before and after comparison you want to be made towards you, is it? But hey, you grew up to be far better looking, Ross. Let me tell you that.
I appreciate that.
You did well. You did well. Look at those guns, baby. And remember, you can see those guns in action. Yeah. They are ginormous, man.
Thanks, mate. I mean, the camera helps. The camera helps with a bit of perspective, but this is what fitness is all about. And as part of this boxing match, anyone can sign up for it. Anyone who wants to contribute to charity, get 8 weeks of free training, and do it in front of a big crowd, in front of their friends and their family, you can do it. It's very accessible, and it will get you into the best shape of your life. So if you're ever considering to get out of your comfort zone and face your fear in a boxing ring and do it for a good cause, I'd recommend anyone to sign up to an ultra white collar boxing match, and they will match you fairly. They're not going to throw you in a massive deep end. Yeah.
Wow. So this is something that you're part of, and you're not left on your own to do the training for what can be quite a dangerous sport. You are being properly trained. You're being properly trained here by people who know what they're doing.
They show you the wide variety of punches, of defensive techniques. They condition you, as in you do a lot of burpees and bag work. They prepare you fully for the fight. They teach you how to defend punches, how to throw effective combinations, and they give you tips on how to control your energy levels and remain composed during the match, which is one of the most important things, is breathing and making sure you remain calm, because as soon as your anxiety levels go up and the adrenaline spikes, you're much more likely to gas out and completely tire yourself out, which makes you a sitting duck for the other person. That's what I'm going to focus on, trying to be as calm as I can and throw effective combinations and then pressure the other person until they quit. But, plans in boxing can be thrown out the window when a punch is thrown. So I'm going to leave some room for spontaneity there.
Yeah, man. People joining us, just to be clear, Ross is not talking about a rematch with Anakin Skywalker here. This is he doesn't an unknown opponent at the moment in Bournemouth, England, for a wonderful cause, which we'll come back onto one last time before we wrap up. But let me just get to these questions I've seen already. This is from Gaz Nottingham. I have a question for Ross. The Kenobi series, we have touched upon this actually, showing Anakin Vader striking down the younglings. Seems to have sealed the lid on the did he actually kill the younglings debate. I know you didn't watch Kenobi, but you're kind of aware of what happened. So has your take on it changed at all?
I mean, my headcanon is still going to be the same. I haven't seen that specific scene. If it's shown that he killed every single youngling in the room rather than a big group, then that is pretty conclusive. I can't argue necessarily with that. If it's the exact room which Anakin was in, but without that being certain, that leaves me and my headcanon with some wiggle room. So my take is the same. I'd need to see it for myself. But if it is that exact scene when it's in that very room and they kill every single person there, there's no room for doubt there, then yeah, I'll give it to you. I died,
But no, in your headcanon, you do escape. And I don't think we specifically see you get taken out. I'm sure we don't. So, yeah, you can have that wiggle room to say that you escaped. We know Grogu escaped, of course. But I suppose there was a debate before Kenobi about did Anakin actually kill the younglings, because it's left to the viewer's imagination, of course. So the camera cuts once the lightsaber's ignited. And back then at the time when you watched it for the first time at the premiere and you were driving home, you asked your mum, didn't you? Hey, did I die?
Did I die? Yeah, I was pretty certain that I died. It was conclusive. The hologram showed him killing younglings, as Obi-Wan said, with maybe a little bit of a smirk on his face at the end, because it's quite an emotional scene. But yeah, she was very protective over how I'd feel about my death. Understandably so. I could accept reality at the time that my character died. I mean, it's slightly disappointing, but I mean, it's overshadowed for the fact that you're in a Star Wars film, so you can't really complain. It's funny because I did end up believing my mum that I didn't die, because I think, why would they try and I guess lie for my own sake? I'm fine with myself dying. And it was only until I went to school and I said I survived, when people were like, "No, you died, you died, you died," and I was like, "Okay."
Kids are cruel, man. Kids are cruel. Bit more headcanon here from Star Wars Man. Did Ross's youngling ever train with little Grogu? Do you think well, you've already said you didn't escape with Grogu, so you probably weren't hiding him. But do you think you and Grogu were pals? Do you think?
Best of mates. We were best of mates, but unfortunately that day we had separate classes. I was doing training with the floating orb, which shoots lasers at me for defensive work. He was doing more of the offensive work, practicing his technique on attacking. Different classes, different escape routes, unfortunately. But best of mates.
Best of mates, who went just down different paths. Are we, this from Peter over in the Netherlands, are we going to see Ross ever in another Star Wars role?
I'd like to think so. Probability-wise, it might not be the most likely thing in the world, but if anyone from Disney or Lucasfilms wants to reach out and get me in another role, no matter what the size, I'll be 100% game for it. I could even be a henchman who gets killed.
Well, you can now, man. Look at those guns now. Hey, I just made a big mistake. Luckily, your internet froze because I produced my guns and you were about to produce yours, but the internet froze. Go on, try again. Produce your guns. Let's do a. Yeah, man. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Crazy.
Muscles don't win fights. A lot of people with huge muscles end up tiring out and become stiff. So it's I love how boxing always there's always a way to win no matter what body type you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. You'll beat me. You'll beat me. It's all about muscles as far as I'm concerned, I think. Right.
Yeah.
This is from Crazy Wonder. We did touch on this earlier about your acting aspirations afterwards. Crazy Wonder asks, were you planning on being in more television and movies after 2005? Did you have any more auditions at all?
My 6-year-old self would have liked to appear in more stuff, but it wasn't as feasible for my family. We moved away from London to Bournemouth. It's not a huge way away, but it would make things a bit more inconvenient with my mum having to chaperone me at the same time as having a job. So logistically, it'll be a bit more difficult. I did have loose plans to appear in more stuff, especially after Star Wars. I would have liked to have obviously continued that, but we are where we are.
Indeed. And you've been getting a lot of love from I Am Supernaut, who says you are gorgeous, Ross, by the way. No mention about me. I mean, actually, they don't name you. They say, damn, he's gorgeous. So maybe they are talking about me.
You're not so bad yourself, man.
Oh, thanks. They're not talking about me, let's be honest. Also, hello to Gone Hunter, who's joined us. I think I've got through all of the questions. Hello to Daniel Spartan as well. If I've missed any questions, you've got a couple of minutes now to copy and paste them back into the chat. One more chat about Ross's charity boxing match. So this is in about 3 weeks' time, the actual fight, Ross. Is that right?
Just under 3 weeks' time. So it'll be about 2 weeks and 6 days. It's on the 25th of March. And the fight will start anywhere between 2 p.m. and about 8 p.m. So yeah, there's quite a big waiting period there. But yeah, the video is going to be sent out, win or lose, and you'll be able to see me kick ass or get my ass kicked, either way. But I doubt the latter will happen. I'm pretty confident that I'm going to win.
And you've been training yourself for about a year and a half, you said, and you've been part of the official training now for a good few weeks. How often a week are you training for this fight?
So for the last 8 weeks, I've been training pretty consistently between 4 to 6 times a week, sometimes twice a day. And before that, I'd be boxing about 2 to 3 times a week, give or take. So I've been training pretty consistently for it. You need to in order to get that conditioning. And hey, thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Whatever amount it is, it will help, and it means a lot. So yeah,
you have gone up from 49% to 51%, and this is hard work for you. You know, you are really throwing yourself in at the deep end here, a new sport. You know, not the easiest of sports, not the safest of sports either. And, you know, you're throwing yourself in the deep end, and it is for such a fantastic cause. For anyone just joining us now, talk a little bit about the cause again for Cancer Research UK.
Yes, so I'm fighting in a charity boxing match for Cancer Research UK. And the reason why is because I have a personal story. Both my grandparents died of bowel cancer when I was very young, and everyone has a story pretty similar to that, where they know someone who's affected by it, or who's died, or they themselves have developed something. Yeah, this is about improving detection rates and treatment. Everyone's aware of it. It's not about awareness because it's so common, and the reason why it's so common is partly why I'm doing this. We want to make it much less common and hopefully be a thing of the past.
Hopefully, man. No, again, such a good cause, and even though it's Cancer Research UK, it's a global cause. And just to make it clear, I will be practicing what I preach. I will be also making a donation after the stream or when I get back tonight, because I've got to go out straight away afterwards. And Powderoy Girl in Bournemouth herself is one of the ones that's donated since we started, so it does work. The link does work. And Daniel Spartan mentions, and I think this is true, yeah, this is what we saw in one of the Kenobi flashbacks. George's Jedi son, the character, died as a youngling, so guess you're in good company if you did die, and hey, guess you're in good company if you did escape, because so did Grogu. As well.
Life with your mates doesn't sound like a bad idea, does it?
No, in the Force Rehab, or what was it that Jane mentioned earlier? Oh, thank you, Star Wars Meg. I'll always be adorable. I don't know if that, like Ross gets gorgeous, I get adorable. I guess that's okay, though. I'll take it. Yeah. Thanks, Meg. I love you too. Star Wars 100 Interviews, which is a great YouTube channel full of interviews with 100 Star Wars actors. Great channel. Go and check it out if you haven't already. And I know you're based over in Australia. And there's a question for you, Ross. Any conventions, non-celebration that you may be attending in May or June? I know you mentioned one in the States.
May or June, zero. I'm not attending in any conventions, not through my specific choice. I'd love to attend as many as I can. Yeah, it's about the demand. The demand for me appearing is raising. It's just about getting the word out there. So if you know any conventions who you'd like me to appear at, please contact them. I'll contact them myself if need be. And yeah, but unfortunately not in May or June. No.
So there you go. Yeah, reach out to Ross, reach out to the conventions, spread the word that Ross is available, and things can quickly change because hopefully now post-pandemic, a lot of the conventions can come back again. I don't know if this is a compliment from Daniel Spartan. Jamie reminds me of the guy who did the Marble Machine music from years ago. Some advice for you in regards to the fight from Jane Flakes. Remember the rule of 2. So batter the other guy and show no mercy. Show no mercy.
And my entrance music will be Jewel of the Fates. So
really,
yes. So we're gonna be
man. You've got to have someone there filming this for you. You work in video production. You must have this covered.
My mates to have their smartphones ready, 100%. Yeah,
man, you can go better than that. You work in video production. Let's have a multi-camera operation.
All I need now is a Jedi robe for my room wall.
Yeah, man, you've got to do that. You've got to do that. That's viral territory as well. And I'm assuming after the fight, the donations option will stay open for a little while.
After the fight, I don't actually know for certain. I think it closes on the 25th, but I'm not entirely sure. No, I don't know. In any case, if you wanna ping me and get an autograph, I can definitely extend that deadline. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's linked to in the video description. But I mean, if you can, just thinking from a sort of internet point of view, if the charity donation option can stay open, it sounds like some potential viral moments to have you walking into Duel of the Fates, as Chad Campbell says, is the perfect intro in a Jedi robe. To have that, if you can post that from your personal social media accounts and link to the charity pages, it sounds like it's something you absolutely have to do.
Oh, you've caught my brain alight now. I think I have to do it now.
I think this was a group effort because you brought it up first. Chad has confirmed it's the perfect intro, and I just threw my pennies into the ring hey, and Daniel Spartan has confirmed that it was not an insult. I will have to check it out. See if I agree. And Chad has also said, yeah, a video needs to be made. You have to, and again, hopefully it can point more traffic towards the charity page, which what this is all about, not just views and likes and what have you. Star Wars 100 interviews. I have no convention. Funnily enough, I don't get invited to conventions, as you can probably imagine. I have no convention plans for May or June to attend any anyway. I might be at a certain one in April. I cannot say anything about that yet, but watch this space. I'm currently in Mexico anyway, and I'm going to be all over the place over the summer in terms of the world for various work. So yeah, May or June, I don't even know if I'll be in the UK. But yeah, there might be an appearance at something in April. But again, more on that sometime in the very near future. But Ross, it's been great having you back on the channel and to do this in such a different way because, we didn't do this live last time. It was a pre-recorded chat and obviously edited, and it's been seen by so many people. So I know a lot of the people here live and a lot of people, there'll be more people watching in the future. I know they will have seen our original interview. So I hope this chat, they've got some fresh stuff and feel like they've gotten to know you better as well. And obviously, we've talked about the great cause of the charity boxing match as well. I've linked to that in the video description if people want to go and donate. Also to your autograph site, which at the moment, part of the proceeds are going to the charity campaign. Where else can people find you online if they want to reach out?
Yeah, on Instagram, that's Beadman Ross. Last name, first name, pretty simple. Get me on Facebook as Ross Beadman too. And yeah, those are the main two ways you can get in contact with me. Also, my Star Wars site has a contact page in case you wanted to email me. It's pretty easy to get in contact with me if you wanted to. I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, guys, wherever you are in the world, reach out to your local conventions. Brad over in Texas, reach out to your local convention organizers and tell them that Ross is available because, there are people at these conventions with, in my opinion, far, far less iconic roles than Ross's, So I think it's a no-brainer having you regularly on the convention circuit as a Star Wars fan, so iconic. Cool, man. Now, thank you very much for joining, and everybody here in the live chat as well, and everybody watching on the replay, aka in the future. Thank you very much as well. I think I just want to double check. I think I asked all the Patreon questions. Chad, Jane, Brad. I think I've asked all of the ones I starred in the live chat. So I think that's it, really. Anything you'd like to add, Ross, before we go our separate ways?
Yeah, wish me luck. For the fight, you can see the full footage of it, and that'll be on my Instagram and on my Facebook as well. All digital platforms which I have. Please, please donate if you want to. Any little amount would help. And yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited for this fight. I'm going to be training hard for it. I won't
Cool,
let you
man.
down, guys.
You better not let us down. And yeah, the most important thing is that you raise funds for a fantastic cause, and also that you win. In fact, yeah, which is the more important? No, charity.
It'll be nice. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
The
I wish you luck. May the force be with you, Ross. A couple of messages here before we sign out. Padua girl, Leona in Bournemouth knows a guy in the UK runs the Showmasters events. I'll message you in Discord, Jamie. Cool, that'd be good. And I think you've done. I think the Hayden reuniting event was a Showmasters event. So
Showmasters. That was quite a while ago. That was about 4 years ago. So probably just in time to get another.
Yeah. Well, they do London Film and Comic Con once a year, and I think they have a winter one as well. I think there's the summer one and the winter one. So yeah, we need to get you back on their radar. So thank you, Powder Girl. Gaz Nottingham also says check out Real Echo Base UK for convention in the UK. They do twice a year and also have signings. So make a note of Real Echo Base UK, Ross. I love the fact that you actually have got a notepad and you have been making notes during this interview. It's been wonderful. Wonderful.
You can't predict when you're going to need to make notes in life, right? You have to have it nearby. Real Echo Base, yeah?
Real Echo Base UK, yeah. It's all one word. I guess that's for the social media handles. But yeah, never have I felt so informative, although it's the comments coming in. It's not actually coming from my head. Also, good luck from Daniel Spartan. Good luck, Russ, with the fight. May the force be with you. Peter says, and
Pokemon trading card.
Oh, nice, man.
Somewhere. Someone gave it to me. People have been very generous. I'm getting gifted a 501st Order 66 Clone Trooper helmet, which is kind of like
nice
replica.
Are you an honorary member of the 501st by now?
I think so.
What an accolade. What an accolade. This is probably going to go over your head, Ross, but don't worry. Peter says, Ramirez Watt should have done this interview is my only criticism tonight. That means he enjoyed it. He just wishes it was another guy interviewing you. Which I won't take personally because we are two different people, me and Ramirez. Gaz Nottingham, a question: can de-aging technology work for Ross in the upcoming scene where we see Sors Bandeam kick Anakin in the shin, land the uppercut, and jump out of the window with Grogu? Can you see that working?
Absolutely, yeah. I think AI is going to be an interesting development over the next 2 years, especially when it starts improving at a scary rate. I think my pugilistic skills perhaps overcoming his lightsaber skills, but that's bringing fists to a lightsaber fight is a dangerous game. So,
and you can come at that from a technical point of view because you do heavily work in video production. Are you a fan of the technology at the moment being used in movies and TV series?
Yeah, I think it's a good stopgap for moments which otherwise wouldn't have appeared. For example, Carrie Fisher's face being supplanted in the recent Star Wars films. That wouldn't have happened otherwise, or they would have got a stand in. There is an uncanny valley effect with AI and deep fakes. It's not quite there yet, but I think those wrinkles will be smoothed out pretty soon.
There's definitely room for improvement.
Degree where in the future people's faces can be put on pretty much anything. And there might
Would you have a problem yourself? You mentioned the scary nature of it. Would you have a problem yourself if one day they did do something with Sors Bandeam and de-age you, bring you back, you back?
If it was Star Wars related and wholesome, no problem with it at all. Yeah, no problem with it at all.
Yeah, and like you say, I think it will get better over time as well. And Daniel Spartan mentions, the fact that they didn't, as far as we know, they didn't use it, or if they did, very sparingly with Hayden during the Kenobi flashback scenes. I think that brings us to the end. Just under an hour we've been doing this for. So just one final reminder that Ross is competing in a charity boxing match for Cancer Research UK, an excellent cause. I will be doing my donation later tonight here in Mexico, or first thing in the morning, Ross, which will be afternoon for you in the UK. I will practice what I preach. Thank you to those who have joined us and those who have made donations as well. I know it's not possible for everybody. You know, these are difficult times, and there are plenty of charities out there that people donate to already. But if you do have any spare coinage, virtual coinage for Ross's page. I've linked to it in the video description, as well as his autographed site as well. So yeah, Ross, remember, you've got to work on that entrance in terms of producing that video, baby. And I wish you the best of luck with the charity campaign and the fight as well.
Jedi robot next.
Perfect. Yeah, man. Ross, thank you so much for joining me and all of us tonight. Yeah, let's do this again soon. And I will definitely broadcast the result of the fight when I do a live stream after the fight. So I'll keep an eye on how it goes for you as well. Actually, just one last question: are they streaming the event at all? Is it just available to see live in person?
There's not an official stream. Footage from these fights generally comes from people and guests who've paid money to see the person fight, but there will be visible footage of it.
Yeah,
but of a decent quality.
Yeah, man, you got to do that.
A few pixels, don't worry.
You've got to do that, and what we talked about, keep it as much as you can to yourself, and then get it out as quick as you can with a link to your autograph site or the charity page. You know, you've got to try and jump on that. I know it's a bit cynical in a way, but hey, it's the world we live in, isn't it? You know, and it's for a good cause anyway with the charity, of course. So you've got some more good lucks here from Gaz and also from Peter as well. And we're going to do this. I'm going to hit end broadcast now, which means there's an awkward lag. So we have to keep waving until the broadcast officially ends. Okay, so you might, it's good exercise for you. Good exercise for you because you definitely need it. All right, I'm clicking end broadcast. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ross. Keep waving because there's an awkward lag between me clicking and it actually ending. So keep waving, everybody. Keep waving, Ross. That's a